Hey, good morning, anglers. This is Will Doud-Martin, editor with Bass Angler Magazine. Today we're on the California Delta. We're going to be doing some punching with the new Soft Steel Covert Braid, and I just wanted to go over how I rig up punching on the California Delta. There's a lot of grass out here, so I like to keep my presentation pretty slim. A lot of times anglers will use a skirt. I prefer not to out here. It's imperative that the bait gets through the heavy grass, hyacinth, pennywort, any type of vegetation out here really quickly and easily. So I go with a really slim presentation. The first thing you want to do is make sure you get your bobber stopper on your line. This is a pretty simple technique here. You just kind of feed your braid through the pre-loop on the bobber stop and slide that bobber stop up the line. You're basically pulling the braid right through the bobber stopper. That's going to keep your weight in place. Vegetation is pretty heavy out here right now, so I'm going to go with a heavier weight because I like to make sure I get through. It's probably a little bit too heavy, but I don't mind. I'm going to use an 1.5 ounces in this case. Whoops. Braid through the weight. This weight actually has a plastic insert that goes all the way through the weight so that tungsten doesn't fray up the line, which is kind of key when you're punching through a lot of vegetation. So I'm going to use a heavy cover flipping hook. This is actually a 3/0 hook. It's a little bit smaller. Again, I want to go with a smaller presentation when getting through the heavy vegetation. I don't think you need to go all that big. The bait I'm going to use fits a 3/0 heavy cover flipping hook pretty well. So I like to tie a simple snell knot. So basically your braided line goes down through the hook eye. You got to pull yourself a little bit of line there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch off the line with the barb of the hook, and then I'm going to wrap it back over the barb 7 times up the hook shank, excuse me, towards the hook eye. Once I've done that, I'm going to pinch it off again and grab my tag end and go right back through that loop that I've created. Tighten that tag end and pull on the main line. You can see that knot tightens on the hook shank, and what this does is once you get the weight down on the hook, you can see that the hook point is now pointed up. That's important when you're punching. You want to make sure that when you set that hook point juts right up into the fish's mouth. See that? It's like a little cantilever action. Boom. So anytime I set that hook, that's going to pop right up into the fish's mouth, and I think that increases hookup percentages and landing percentages ultimately. So that's the punching presentation. Again, I'm going to go with a smaller bait, something that's pretty streamlined so I can get through this vegetation easily without hanging up too much. You got to make sure you pull apart those craws right there. This is sort of a blue and green pumpkin colored creature bait. Go ahead and thread it through the tail, slide it up the hook shank over that little bait keeper right there. So that holds the bait in place. Texas rigs, so you want to make sure that's weedless. You're going through a lot of vegetation, so you just penetrate the plastic on the bottom side. It's soft enough when the fish bites it, it's going to collapse. That hook point will penetrate through the fish's mouth. There it is. Punching presentation on the Delta with the new Soft Steel Covert Camo 50-pound braided line. To learn more about Soft Steel products, make sure to visit softsteelusa.com.